What's up, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Doctor Doom from the new Secret Wars, the more recent one, where the Ultimate Universe and the 616 mashed up and collided all crazy. Again, we see packaging with that green and purple villain color scheme that is so popular. I mean, what villain doesn't wear green nowadays or purple? But that's very cool. Very cool nod to it. Build-A-Figure Xemnu, 4 and up. Supervillains, Doctor Doom, Hasbro. If you want the barcode, there it is. Take a screenshot. On the sides, you get a cool picture of that god Doom who's decided to rip off his shirt. And on the read-up, it says, from the wreckage of colliding universes, Doctor Doom emerges as the supreme ruler of a new domain known as Battleworld. So that's very cool. I'd also love to get a figure of the Secret World, the Secret Wars Doctor Doom from the first run. I think that'd be pretty dope. There's all the figures in the wave. Xemnu. Enough of this. Let's take a look. So for Doom's accessories, we get a fist and a gripping hand, 2 open hands, and then a trigger hand. And lastly, we have the skull of Thanos, and you can see the little lines in the chin there are a dead giveaway that this is Thanos. And even the sculpting work is just incredible. The missing teeth, every individual sculpted tooth, the eye sockets, the nose hole, and that little divot right there on the jaw. Just overall really fantastic work on the spine as well. Really good paint job. And I love the fact that you can move this jaw. So that just looks really freaking good, man. And right here, kind of like in the book, looking at the panel, you can kind of tell there's actually a crushed part of the spine. And that is made to grip in Doom's hand as well. You can put it in any direction you please. If you're looking at the face of Thanos, or just making it look like he's really kind of careless face in a way, showing people, I don't freaking know. But in the book, he does rip out Thanos' spine, because he is God Doom in the book. Takes place in technically the 3rd Secret Wars story. I thought it was the 2nd, and I don't know if I said that early in the video. If I did, don't go in the comments and correct me. It's annoying. But it is the 3rd one, I believe. Because looking it up, Googling it, I looked up Secret Wars 2, and yeah, it brought up a completely different story. So I was kind of surprised to figure that out. I had no idea that was a thing, but I just finished this story. I read it in between the time I filmed the intro and now, and it is incredible. I absolutely recommend it. I believe it's a Jonathan Hickman story. It's amazing. And I forgot, this is the last accessory. This little pistol. Is it a Luger? I don't know anything about guns, so excuse me if I'm totally wrong. But if you want him to hold it just like the other gun, it's pretty easy to pop in his hand. But I don't think he uses this at all in the story, and I mean, he is God Doom, so like, I don't know why he'd use a pistol. But hey, it matches the plastic color here. It looks okay. Sculpt work is good, paint is boom. If you want it in the holster, super easy to get in. It stays in there very snug, and you can just pop that over. Now sometimes these things don't work, just make sure you're pressing on these edges and it'll work just fine. Sculpted D for Doom, pretty cool. So first thing I want to talk about is the cape. The sculpting is pretty good on it. Not a whole ton of paint work, just a flat white. But this piece here is definitely new, and it's okay. If you do plug it in here, it does lay a little bit higher than it would otherwise, but you do have more of an arch in the shoulders, where if you lay it down here, it just kind of falls back more. And I feel like when you have it plugged in, it makes Doom look a little bit beefier, maybe, and you can kind of rotate it a bit. And I still think it looks pretty good, so I'm probably just going to leave mine plugged in, because looking at it forward, you can't tell it's raised a little bit. But yeah, and unplugged, I'll show you how it looks. You can see it's just raised a tiny bit, but it's not enough to really bother me personally. And then taking a look at the head sculpt, it looks really good. I'm very impressed by it. I like the paint. I think the eyes look fantastic. I do think the face underneath there should be a little nastier looking, maybe a little bit of a darker paint. Because if you read the story, spoiler alert, Doom does take his mask off at one point. And this dude's face is not pretty. Which brings me to my next point. Would have been great to get a second head sculpt. In the story, however, his mouth is really shut and his jaw is kind of big. And as you can see, it almost has more of a techno kind of thing going on in there, where he kind of has like teeth in the story. Looks kind of different. I personally like this look more, but it's not totally accurate to the book. However, if you're not as nitpicky as I am, you should get by with it just fine. Personally, it's not really a big deal. Just a nitpick. Otherwise, paint looks good. Well, no paint really, just sculpting. But the paint in the eyes, for what it's worth, looks good. And if you wanted the Victor Von Doomhead on here from that Walgreens exclusive, it does fit on there, but you might break the peg. It's really on there tight and rotating. It will not be easy, so I'm not going to do that. Even now, I don't like that. So be wary, but if you're taking photos, you can definitely get that on there pretty good. So everything on this dude, except for this chest piece, is pretty much reuse. Looking at these gloves though, these are not reuse, these are different. So the gloves and this chest are definitely different. Of course, the cape is different as well. The head sculpt is the same. The skirt is repainted completely along with the belt and the holster. And the legs and the arms are the same as the previous Doom we got, or the previous 2 Dooms that we've gotten. 2, I believe, unless you're counting that Walgreens one. It's a completely different thing. But just straight up Dr. Doom, yeah, different torso piece, different gloves. And for the most part, sculpting on these looks fantastic. I love it. There is no joint here, no kind of swivel or anything, and I think they might have been able to implement one, but I don't know. I'm not sure it would look very good. I don't know. I'll say this though, they do have that pocket, it kind of swivel at the waist, and it's hidden by this belt, and it works pretty well, but it's, if you're pressing up here on the chest, it won't move much. You got to press down and really kind of raise it a little bit, and then it will really go. So I mean, it works well if you do it right, and you do get pretty nice motion out of it. So like, it's cool. I dig it. I was a little weary of it at first, but because when I was first using it, I was like, what the fuck is going on, man? But when you press it just right, then it really works out pretty freaking well. Aside from that, the sculpting is pretty much exactly what you'd expect. A lot of that kind of chainmail look underneath the armor. As you can see, it's a pretty cool sculpting there. You can see some flaps. His flaps should not be completely silver though. Maybe they could have painted those a little bit. Otherwise, these shoulder pads look good as well. They kind of hide the articulation a little bit, so that's cool. Legs look very fantastic, nice bolts and shit like that. Very good sculpting, more of that chainmail look. Underneath, again, right at this thigh, you can see there's a chainmail look as well, and there's a little hidden rotation in there. So that's pretty cool as well. I dig that. You can see more of those straps and stuff that aren't painted. Little details. However, if you had a bunch of brown spots on Doom, I'm not sure that would look very great either. So, whatever. But this is just really nice. This new chest piece, I personally really, really like. I think it has a very sleek, slick kind of look. I like the line work. I like the abdominals. All of it looks pretty solid. The neck is also the same, I believe. And it is kind of pocketed in there. If you messed it enough, you can pop it out and see that marble plastic on the bottom. But personally, I'm not going to do that. Otherwise, I would say this Doom is pretty solid. The new gloves look pretty good. I don't really think there's anything that bothers me about this guy, except for some of the paint work. I think maybe some shadowing and stuff, but Hasbro typically doesn't do a whole ton of that. The belt does look really good in terms of the paint. Gun looks like poop, but this is a really, really, really light plastic. But I mean, when you look at the art here, it is quite a bit lighter. So maybe it's fairly accurate. I know I really love the look of that previous Doom that we got. So maybe I'm just being an idiot, but I would say this is very, very light, but it does appear to be pretty accurate. And the way the light shines off of it, you can see my ring light, it just is a good look that's reminiscent of Doom in the Secret War story. So I'm a big fan of this figure. God Doom is pretty dope, so I dig it. So taking a look at the articulation overall, the head can look back pretty freaking far, man. But when you have the cape on, we'll just kind of attempt to, nope, didn't work out. Just pop that back on. But when you have the cape on, you can probably look back about that
That far, you might be able to kind of, yeah, okay. So he doesn't look back crazy far and he has the cape on. Still pretty far, but not as far if he doesn't have the cape on. But again, wouldn't be super accurate because this dude never takes his cape off in the story as far as I remember. So there's that. If you want him to look down, he can look down pretty far with the assistance of that pocketed neck joint. Push that back there. You get quite a bit of a tilt in there. Just at the neck, not a whole ton. With that pocketed joint, you get quite a bit, and obviously a rotation. I'm worried I'm gonna freaking ruin this hood here. The arms do go up about that high. I don't know if you can, if you push it down a little, you can get them to go quite a bit higher. So that's cool. Obviously they go down, forward and back all the way around. And then you can have a swivel at the bicep, double jointed elbows, no rotation at the glove, but there's rotation at the wrist with a horizontal hinge. And this trigger finger does have a vertical hinge, and it is the only hand that has a vertical hinge, which makes pretty good sense. I dig it. And again, with this new joint here, you can get him to look down about that far, get him to go back about that far. That is a little bit visible. Just push this up a little bit though and you won't be able to tell. And then he does have a nice pivot, but again, you got to move it just right so you can have a pivot there. Looks pretty good. Man, I want to get a custom cape for this, because in the story his cape is so all over the place. It'd be nice to kind of do that with my figure and my displays. Get a wired cape so he moves about that far out in the legs. With this skirt on, you can still get him to kick pretty far forward, and I'd say it looks pretty good still. Looks pretty natural. Is rotation at the thigh, like I said, double jointed knees, and I should mention the leg doesn't really go back at all. There is a rotation below the knee as well at the ankle, a pivot and a hinge that moves pretty smooth but pops and snaps just a little.
Then here he is next to the previous Doom as well, and you can see obviously it has a darker, more gunmetal kind of tone, a lot more sculpting just because of how the outfit is, the circumstance of the design. If you already have this Doom, I wouldn't say it's like a big deal if you don't pick this Doom up, but if you've read Secret Wars, you want this Doom. He's very fucking cool. But you can see they're the same exact height and use a ton of the same pieces, including the head. And do they use the same hood? It looks like it, but this one's plastic. Might just be kind of weird right now because I've been messing with it quite a bit. But it looks like for the most part they use the same hood, maybe a little bit different. Looks pretty similar though. Then here's Doom next to Dormammu and the AIM scientist, and you can see that he's a little bit taller than both of them if you're not looking at Dormammu's fire. Then here he is next to Reed Richards, who he just towers, and another bad guy who was recently dressed in white in the Powers and House of X stories, Magneto. You can see he is much bigger than both of them. And here he is next to a Cobra infantry trooper, and you can see he's still a lot taller. So overall, I think this figure knocked it out of the park. I am very, very pleased with it. I wish we would have got two-fisted hands. That would have been cool. And there's a few little nitpicks in terms of just accuracy to his comic book counterpart. But even when I look at the box art, these eyes are still normal looking. But it would have been cool if we got a nasty-ass looking face, man, for Victor Von Doom. I mean, we got Deathlock, and he is a freaky-ass looking face, so it's like, give us more freaky-ass faces. I don't care if it's creepy. Would have been really cool to see. Aside from that, I think this dude is a solid 10. Thanos' skull is an amazing accessory. I love shit like that. Very pleased with it. Would have been cool to get some blast effects or something, but for what we did get, I think it's a really solid figure. If you've read the story, you will really appreciate this figure like I do. And even if you didn't, you'll probably appreciate this figure. He's a hell of a lot of fun, and hopefully he gets you interested in going out and finding that story. I know if you have a Comixology subscription, you should be able to read it for free. If you're an unlimited member or whatever. Otherwise, it's like $17 on the Apple Store. Or go to a local comic shop, see if they have an issue or something. I don't know. I don't have any near me. Otherwise, I would. I live hours away from my nearest one, sadly. Small town. Anyways, thanks for watching this review, guys. I totally recommend you pick up this figure. Get out. if you are, I already showed you the barcode, but if you want this guy, just head to Target. I know I had someone go on the back for me, and they were incredibly nice about it. I just showed them the DPCI, which you can find in the product details on the Target app, or screenshot the barcode I showed you in the beginning of the video. Otherwise, stay tuned for more. We got more reviews coming this wave and the Disney Plus wave. So subscribe, like, comment, stay happy, stay healthy, get vaccinated, keep collecting. Peace.